Organizations should open up for everyone to be able to create shared channels or have it request.
Oh, yeah. So
I know my
B2B,
answer.
B2B side, right?
Right. Well, but the question really focused on 1,000 users organization, that size.
Hmm. Yeah, well, I think it's going to be interesting, the expectation of, oh, this is easy, this is great, this is going to reduce tenant switching. Whoa, hang on now. Nope. Nope. You actually have to have Azure B2B in place. Oh, okay. So who are our valid partners?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good question, Phil.
It is a great question. This is the big announcement. Everyone kind of knew it was coming. We've been talking about it for a while, but an actual put a date on it. This is obviously the huge announcement. So.
Yeah, I rewatched the Ignite video just as a refresher and making sure, yeah, I've got the 2 or 3 different scenarios and different ways that you can invite and how they get attached to the user's experience and what that looks like. And couldn't help but notice that the what do they call it? Teams Connect icon
Yeah.
looks an awful lot like the Viva Connections icon.
Yeah. Well, I think they just, because of so much rebranding and re-iconing, they've run out. That's what I think.
Viva
they just run out of
Connections,
icons.
Teams
Yeah.
Connect. Kind of like this, isn't it? Looks like the S that we used to draw in school.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's awesome.
Well, it is. It is awesome.
I probably need to go back and join the YouTube feed so I can chat with the
Well, that would be
peoples.
good.
Say
Counting
hi,
on down.
Phil. Oh, Phil's not here.
No. Where
Well,
did Phil go?
I think he, dropped in, asked his question, and then left. This could have been hours ago. I'm sure he's totally excited.
Maybe. The least you could have done was stuck around for the answer, Phil. We're disappointed.
He'll be back.
He will be. Well, yeah, it's about that time. So.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode where we have Daryl clapping, and we hope you enjoy the clapping. It's going to be clapping the whole episode. Okay, maybe not.
What?
Okay, maybe not.
Maybe not.
Welcome to episode 330. We have some exciting stuff to cover today. I know you're excited about hearing our thoughts on this Teams Connect shared channels, whatever they're calling it this week. And we're going to, in all seriousness, have some great conversation around that, as well as I think one of the hidden gems this week is actually how you can connect with service providers. So stay tuned for that quite soon. Hello, Daryl. How are you, sir?
I'm ready to get all teams connected and all hooked up and reducing the tenant switching and making it easier for me to seamlessly go between channels and connect with people.
Well, while everyone gets ready, because we're going to jump into this, but while everyone gets ready for this exciting episode, let's make sure that you follow us. You've subscribed down below here in YouTube and on your favorite podcast software. You have subscribed to our podcast, audio podcast. We are on everywhere with Spotify. We're on, I'm not going to list them all because Apple Music, Google, all of them. We're there.
Wherever you get your podcasts.
Wherever, because we are there. So make sure you subscribe to the audio podcast as well. That will definitely help us. And then if you're on YouTube, make sure you hit that bell, because that bell will give you a reminder of when we go live. It kind of gives you that little tip of, oh, they're going live.
I moved you closer to the bell, Daniel.
Oh, so I can go like this.
Yeah,
that bell right there.
Because there's no point talking about which body part you're going to use if you've got to reach across me.
Well, I'm not going to demonstrate this body part of clicking the bell, because it's going to be a bit difficult to show that. However, what we're going to use is our heel. So the back of our foot, it's going to be kind of like you're playing a little bit of football, or soccer, as we say here in the States, and you're kicking the ball with your heel to avoid that attacker. You're going to do it with your heel on the bell. Make sure you get that reminder. So make sure you follow us on socials, 365MCS everywhere. You go. That's how you will find us.
MCS.
Are you making fun of me?
I am. Just, we talked about it last week. Let's see. Let's see how you do.
All right. Well, you're first up, Daryl. Tell us all about how you can get better insight to teams that people are joined to.
Well, yes, only as an admin, though. This is a list of joined teams per user in Teams Admin Center. It's MC33286. And in this message, sorry, Daniel. In this message, we have the ability for an admin to go to the user part of the message. Let's reset. You go into the Teams Admin Center, you can find the user, and you can see a list of teams that they have joined. This is useful because it's being able to see how spread someone is across the different teams. Whether maybe it could be useful to also see how much effort they've got to put into belonging to all of those teams. But yeah, I think for troubleshooting too, kind of useful. Daniel, I don't know if I could say much more than that.
No, I agree with you. Things like, well, I don't see that team. Well, let's go make sure it's not an issue with your client. Well, you're not a member of the team, so of course you shouldn't. But, so audit, making sure that people are in the right spots. This is not something teams admins are going to be in there every day. Like, oh, I got to check every few moments of, someone's the right member of teams. But this just gives, I think, a nice bit of information to help us understand, like you said, the sprawl of teams, but the sprawl of people across teams to make sure, that's being managed correctly. So.
I don't know if there's a limit to how many teams you can see within the client. I think if we go to Microsoft Teams limitations, there is a limit to how many teams you can belong to. Don't know it off the top of my head.
There's a limit to how many scrolls I'm going to do. I'll tell you that right now before I just go search. For sure. Yeah,
so this is rolling out early February. Oh, somewhere in here it says it is available now. Not just nowish, but before-ish. But we don't use before-ish too much. We ask that you pardon us for not sending this message earlier. Pardon granted.
Yes, for now. Don't do it again.
It'll happen.
Daniel,
what's up? What's up next?
Let's book some time to talk about this further when we're not on the show. Ha ha ha. Get it? Book.
Yeah,
all right. Forms integration with bookings. MC33394. How's that one for dragging
nice.
on?
Yeah, good.
So this is the one I was calling out before and saying there's a kind of a hidden gem in this week's episodes. So this week's episode, this is allowing your organization that uses bookings to integrate forms so that people who are going to have a visit will get that email saying confirming their visit from bookings, but we'll have forms that you have predefined, that you say when someone books this type of appointment, meeting, then I'm going to send them these forms, one or many, right? And then they have to fill it in. So, you could think about this from a healthcare perspective. They're having an annual visit. Well, they're going to need their annual form for how are you feeling, what new updates to medications, what's your new insurance, those kind of questions. But don't just pigeonhole this. This is, while healthcare, I think, is a big part of this. There's things like financial services. If you have someone you work with from a perspective of reviewing their finances every year or so, home services. If you have someone clean your house, or you have someone come to take care of an elderly parent, or someone to come walk your dog, I don't know. And hair salons even. I mean, think about those type of appointments that you can automate, but also include forms to give more information to the provider before you get there. So this is rolling out mid-March and expecting it to be done pretty quickly. So late March. And like I said, you'll be able to define as an admin, or as an admin from the service, be able to say these appointments get these forms. And it's a nice little email. The only thing about the email I don't like is the email in bookings, when you receive it, it says, here's your appointment time. And it has this great big button that says join. Well, that's great, except that people may go, oh, I'll click that button now. No, you're supposed to join when the time is, not now. I like that the button is there. It's just people have to think, oh, I'm not supposed to click that now. I need to join at that time. Anyway, but I would like that button to be below the before your appointment forms, right? You need to fill these forms out first, because if I'm looking at this, I may not even read the stuff below. But I think that's just, something to call out when you're talking with your clients, your patients, whoever. Then you can say, make sure you read the entire email. There's forms you need to fill out. It'll be at the bottom. That's about it. I think. What do you think, Daryl? Does that sound great?
Well,
to include those forms.
I'm looking at setting something up similar, not with bookings, but around coaching, and having a form that gives you a bit more information before you're going to run the session for someone is really helpful.
Could be huge.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, so it helps to capture that information and those thoughts. What did you want to get out of the session? Have you got any goals? We know forms also allow you to embed video into there, so you could quite personalize it really, and just guide people through. So yeah, I think it's good. Multiple forms, if you need to. I think just one is really good too.
Well, but the example I gave before with healthcare, you might need if it's a new patient, they might need the new patient form.
Yeah.
If they're going to need.
But would that form be in forms?
Maybe. You could take that information and then automate, drop in the information from that form into your system. For sure. So let's talk about Q&A, sir, and how we can upvote.
Well, yes. So imagine that conversation giving or asking a question in the community, and we wanted to get some feedback or some ideas, crowdsourcing. Daniel gave his response. Heidi joins in. Heidi, sorry you're late. Fill out the form. Callback. The questions and answers feature in Yammer is going to get better. And this is enabling upvoting your answers. So it's one thing to have Q&A, have a list of all the answers, and we've been able to, for a little while now, mark as best answer, which is great. But what about that journey towards that best answer? Maybe we crowdsource and get sort of 30 to 40 answers, and some of the people who are answering that question might upvote, say, we think this is the best answer, not necessarily the person who asked the question. So sometimes there is that dynamic where it's the people that we're asking this question of that we want to get a sense of what that best answer is. So a feature here, which is rolling out mid-March and fully available, completed early April, allows you to upvote the answers in a question type post in Yammer. So I see this, Daniel, as that very scenario. We ask a question, we're getting all sorts of responses, and then we could basically choose best answer based on the 30 upvotes that a particular response might get.
Well, I think without the upvoting, the previous way assumed that the person who's asking the question knows the best answer. When that's the whole point. They're asking the question, so they might not know the best answer. But okay, so that's one thing. The second thing is, when I first looked at this, was first thing that came to mind. I don't know, maybe it's just my personality, but upvote.
It's just
Okay,
your personality, Daniel.
Upvote. That's great. Where's the downvote? If we're going to,
What do you want to downvote for?
well, if we're going to crowdsource this, the first two people that come in upvote something that's wrong, then wait a minute, that's wrong. Like, what? Why are you saying that? I mean, I could reply. I can, put a reply in there to say, this is actually wrong. But rather than calling that out, maybe downvote, say, no, don't pay attention to that. This other thing is the upvote. Anyway.
So downvotes then negate the upvote. Is that the point?
Well, yeah. It negates one.
Remove
right?
your upvote, sir.
Well, I mean, that's the way forum systems work. If you have an
Yeah.
upvote, not all of them. There's some that are nice and polite, but even, forum, social media, a certain type, forums have that, right? Up and down vote. Anyway.
So the upvote is not an upvote action. It is a like, if you have a
Nope.
look there.
Nope. There is
Oh,
on the
hang
far
on,
left.
hang on. No, there is a
On
like.
the far left.
Yeah,
You can
that's
like it and
yeah.
you can upvote. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, I mean, okay. So we've been using likes beforehand, and then maybe saying, well, most people like this, so I'll give it a best answer. But now we've got a choice.
Right. I think the liking, it's kind of like I might like it, I might not. But this whole upvoting bit gives that little push to, because it's so easy to just go up, right? And do that, then, maybe more people start voting.
Well, makes a very good point, and it is actually in the message that it does reprioritize the answers. When you upvote something, it bumps it in the order. So that's important to note. So that is, where is it? It is, rolling out mid-March and fully available early April. And Daniel, we've got our headline to discuss.
That's right. Microsoft Teams Connect Shared Channels Public Preview, MC334274. This is, what we've all been dreaming for. Not really, but we've been talking about this for a while, since Microsoft announced it. And now we have a date. Now we have a timeline for when we're getting this thing called Shared Channels. Before, now it's called Teams Connect. Now they've put them together, Teams Connect Shared Channels. I don't know. We'll be rolling out to public preview. So you'll need to opt in there. The rolling out late March. So we have about a month or so, and then complete by early April. So it's going to be a pretty quick rollout. So for this, we will be able to, of course, when we're creating a channel, instead of just creating a standard or a private channel, there'll be a third one called shared. And people will, you'll be able to create these. And this is provisioning behind it a SharePoint site collection, just like a private channel is, a SharePoint site collection. And with that, Microsoft has improved some of the admin experience, knowing a site is powering a shared channel rather than a standalone site or just a standard or private, the standard channels or the private channel. So this will, I like that, out of the box, because it is powered by SharePoint, because Teams functionality is there, that it's eDiscovery holds those DLP audit logs, all of that is in play, and it works straight up out of the box. So all of those information protection and compliance features are there. Graph APIs. So if you're doing development in Teams, it's all already there. Those commandlets in PowerShell have already been updated, so they're ready. Those have been seen. People have noticed that. So it does rely on the capabilities of Azure AD B2B, Direct Connect, and so you do need to turn that on, right? So this external collaboration is off by default. So if you're going to use shared channels, notice I said if, to collaborate with external people, then you're going to need to turn that on. I said if because in this process, you can use these shared channels to break down barriers of teams, and it just be internal or a mixture, right? So I can have some shared channels that are just internal channels. And then maybe I have teams set up with, I have organizations set up to where I have teams for geographies or something, and I have a channel for HR underneath every one of those. Maybe I want a shared HR channel, stuff like that, to where you can use these just internal, or you can use it with internal and external resources. So keep that in mind. It's not just thinking, oh, I can only create a shared channel when I'm collaborating externally. That's not what this is necessarily exclusively targeted toward. Daryl, what do you think about utilizing this? We had a question earlier that was in chat from Phil about, governance around this. Who do you allow to create shared channels? I mean, what do you think about this process now that this functionality is on the horizon? We can actually see it, given a date here. What do you think about this functionality and what it's going to bring to organizations, but how you govern it as well?
It folds into your external sharing policy. When I say policy, I mean your governing rules, what you allow within your organization. It's another form of that. But because of the way that it presents, it's actually more seamless. More seamless? Yeah, there's less of a seam.
Less of a seam.
Yeah, what I've got on screen here, just for those in the podcast, there's a screenshot in the message that talks about the directionality of how you can set up the shared channels and who has the ability to create them. So I think with this, it's still important to give people some understanding and training about what that experience is like, what to expect. One thing that's definitely called out in that user experience is when it's a channel that is or contains external users, it will have the external tag on the end there. So if it's been added to your team and you are collaborating with one of your partners that you've connected and made this connection through Azure B2B, then you will see that while you've still got that trust relationship, you can still see that as a tag. I think it's going to be quite useful for orgs to come up with their own guidance around when to use it. If it's in partnership with external partners and for projects, that's a good scenario there where a channel is for a project and you're allowing through this connection your business partner outside of your tenants to add it to their team. So that's the external side of it. Really want to hit it home here. It's not as simple as just allowing anyone to set up any kind of connection to any external organization. They can't just share this channel with anyone. The connection has to be there at the admin level to say we trust this business. And the reason being, it simplifies membership. That's one of its benefits, that if I share this channel with my business partner and I say you can add this to the project team on your side, then membership of that channel is now in their hands. And so you can't just allow that to be the case for just any tenant.
I think the really when we're talking about who can create and governance around that, You know, governance isn't necessarily always preventative. Like not always a checkbox that you say don't allow or allow. Sometimes it is training. So for some organizations, especially some smaller organizations, you know, you might not have to turn this off. It just be something that you communicate to users saying, hey, we're not going to use shared channels except for these types of purposes. Or go ahead. It doesn't matter. But, you know, then for large organizations, you might need a little bit more of management around who can create these. Because as we've pointed out, and Phil's asking questions about this, is you know, this creates a SharePoint site behind it. Absolutely it does. So even if you're using this for internal, just like private channels, this is creating another site for the artifacts that are being created as part of this. So how do you manage that? And what should you manage it? And should there be an approval process for this? You know, once you get, depending on size, I mean, there's no magic number, but I think when adoption is at a certain level in teams to where you could foresee, you know, 100 shared channels being created in the first week, then, you know, and going up from there, then maybe there needs to be some actual governance of preventative governance, a way of, you know, having approvals rather than having people going, you know, crazy and creating their own.
I'll put something crazy out there. I know that from a SharePoint admin perspective, having a whole lot of site collections pop up that are connected to private channels and now shared channels is a bit overwhelming. If you look across them and you think, whoa, okay, I can see all of these additional site collections. But from another perspective, if they're all connected to the space that they need to be, they are just sites. Calm down.
I am a SharePoint person. I mean, that's how I got into all of this, right? That was my entry point. So I feel that need to rein in and control those sites. You know, things like naming and categorizing and as well as expiration. How do you know, you've got a site collection sitting out there that there's been no content in it, hasn't been touched really for months and months and months. You want to get rid of that thing, but the team is actually being used, right? They're just not doing files, they're doing chat. And I understand that need, but I also see what you're saying and have started to come around to that is we kind of need to get over this. I want to control all my site collections and control how many we have. And they're, you know, they all have to be active and whatever. Because Microsoft is really pushing this in a way that I think we're going to even see more of this creation of site collections, backing functionality. And so us as SharePoint people need to come around to the fact that, hey, this has changed. We're going to have to change our mentality and the way we manage this. I think there's going to be site collections we don't care about, and we just have to, they're there and we're just going to have to deal with it. And then there's the site collections that are SharePoint sites rather than a back end to Teams or some other functionality. I know that's a little difficult though. So, and there's a lot of things in the minutia of working with that.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I mean, I'd certainly prefer this and having a bubble around it as a site collection as opposed to having to manage some kind of intricate folder, subfolder, permissions, non-inheritance stuff.
Sure. I mean, I think that the architecture of the way they're doing it with site collection, I think that's the way to go. But, you know, the management of those site collections intermingled with all the, you know, SharePoint intranet sites and such, your home site, you know, all those, that's where it kind of gets muddy. But so maybe you do need to have a little bit of control around, you know, who can create a shared channel. I think it's by organization, you know, organization by organization, how you define that. Let's take a break from this. I'm sure we'll be talking a lot more about this
Feels
as
like it
new
needs a deep
functionality
dive.
comes in. Yeah. Let's move on to account switch. Wait a minute, account switching.
Yeah.
This seems like we're going backwards from shared channels where we're not going to have to, you know. Anyway, let's talk about
Exactly.
account switching.
And we'll pick up the pace because I know we've got these are the quick mentions, but I've chosen to cover this one because it's an interesting experience even now with account switching on your desktop and the Office applications. So this is on Office Mobiles MC332871. When you want to switch between different Microsoft 365 accounts or even your personal OneDrive sort of Microsoft account to use Office. Yeah, being able to switch within the app has been a thing for a while, and now within this feature, I guess it dives into some other things around MAM and iOS. But what I've noticed when you do go to switch is that it's also you switch and then it says, okay, you now need to restart the app. It's not as a smooth experience now. And I see this on Office on desktop as well. There's some way of being able to like hard cut it and say, right, you've switched, but we need you to restart the application so that we truly are authenticating from afresh. You'll only see the content that is related to that account. So in the past, we've been able to have an account and then attach shared storage from other accounts, and that has got super confusing as you might be signed in and you go to open a link to a document from another attached account, and there's all sorts of attachments or connections. So they're tidying that up, and this is going to make it clearer when you are in an account and where you are switching to. Quite a message there. But this is rolling out, where are we? iOS, late February, expected to be complete late March. And for Android, end of April, late June. And Daniel, tell us about Stream.
Microsoft Stream in-player help experience MC332705. This is rolling out nowish, so mid-February, and completed in standard release early April. This is, Stream, remember, Stream is really the underlying technology that's powering your audio video files in SharePoint and OneDrive. And there is going to be a helps area connected to those files. So there's going to be a links tab that gives you some just out of the box, or I guess default training links for from Microsoft. How do you work with this type of file, and then a report and issue tab. That report and issue tab is the communication to Microsoft. So if users fill this in, they send it, it will send it to Microsoft feedback for things like, the video is not playing correctly, there's issues with it. Then you get to also check a box to say, yes, Microsoft can email me back. This is controlled by, and we've talked about this give feedback kind of process before, not in Stream, but in Microsoft 365. So admins can turn this off. So if it is turned off, then you won't be able to do this. But for those that are able to, you will see that coming, like I said, coming soon. Yep. Next message is OneDrive Sync Center is changing slightly, isn't it, Daryl?
Yeah, I mean, the message actually makes it sound bigger than it is, in my opinion.
That's right.
The Sync Activity Center, experience refresh, MC 333940. When we take a close look at the experience refresh, it is about give it a Fluent look. You'll still see a list of documents that have recently synced and activity around it. There's a cog button. There's still the same 3 buttons at the bottom, just a slightly different look and feel. I don't think there's anything that functions differently. There's a new command for recycle bin. Yeah, good-o. Don't have much more to say.
Well, it's a quick mention. You're right. It's not that big, although for users, it might, that are used to going into the settings a certain way, you're going to have that gear at the top. So it's just a little bit of change, but yeah, for sure.
How about the chat filter, Daniel?
Yes. So this one is chat filter for non-meetings chats. MC triple three. I'm going to go with the triple three nomenclature. 623. This is rolling out early March and expected to be completed by late May. And this is just going to be able to provide you the ability in the chat app in Microsoft Teams to be able to filter out those chats that show up for meetings chats, as well as chats with bots. I think we can have a conversation about this. In fact, we were a little bit before the show about, how this can fit into the frame of how you work and how they could even improve this with maybe some date filtering or something. But being able to filter to make your chat app a little more, you can make it to where it's just the chats that you're having with one-on-one chats or one-to-many, and filter out those meetings and chat bots. Is that going to be right for everyone? I don't think so. I think it's kind of helping you work the way you want to work, but I like it. It's just that if I filter out meeting chats, for instance, how do I get back to that? Well, I can unfilter them out, or I can go into the meeting from the calendar and go to the chat tab and see the chat. But that's a whole lot more clicks. So if you're going back frequently, obviously I wouldn't filter them out, right? But so that's coming very, very shortly. And speaking of Fluent, you said earlier about OneDrive. This is a very important message.
It
Smiley
is.
face.
Yep, smiley face. We get to express ourselves with new Fluent emoji styled icons. We have seen them in other marketing videos and things letting us know of the future in Microsoft 365. So now we've got them. They look good. I do like this other people section as well, but we can get in and explore some of those emoticons. Yeah, good to see. We'll see them throughout Teams, and I think I'm also waiting for that ability to use any emoticon as a reaction. So maybe they'll offer us another dimension for reacting to things soon too.
Yeah.
And that is coming late February, so nowish through to early March. Daniel, Room Finder.
Room Finder for Outlook Mobile MC333944. This is rolling out mid-March and expected to be completed by late May. And that same experience that you may be using already within Outlook for Windows, Mac, on the web, to find a room, you'll be able to do that on mobile, on iOS and Android. So you can do search, you can check availability, you can book those conference rooms on that create event screen when you go on mobile. It's pretty simple, but I think a powerful thing, especially as we're kind of some people returning to a hybrid work where they're going into the office, and you're in the office and you want to find a place, but you're maybe not at your desk. Well, you have your mobile phone, being able to find a room available, I think is a great functionality, and I'm glad to see it's finally coming to mobile. Last thing, Daryl, we're talking about Teams again.
Yeah, the Teams third-party apps designed for Outlook and Office.com will be available soon for users in Outlook and Office.com. So yeah, what does this mean? I think you even put it in the notes here, Daniel. MC334280. Does that mean that the apps we create for Teams will also be available in Outlook on the web? We need to take a closer look at this because it's quite a short message. There's not a lot more to it. Users in targeted release will soon see third-party apps available in Outlook and Office.com that were previously only available in Teams. Surely that's only some apps, because some of these apps are just designed for the Teams experience and chat and in meeting optimized apps and things like that. So yeah, watch this space, I think. That is, targeted release rolling out late February and expected to be complete late May. That's for Office. And targeted release for Outlook late March. and complete late May. Get to see more Teams stuff across your Office 365 experience. But that is it, Daniel.
Yes.
Any last thoughts about this week? It was quite a lot we tried to get through.
Yes, it was a lot, and we spent a little bit of time, I think rightfully so, on the shared channels, Teams
Yeah.
Connect. But I think there's a lot here actually to spend on a few other things that we just didn't have time to spend a whole lot more time on. But I think just the message you just covered, the third-party Teams apps, I think there's a lot we're going to be exploring there as a community moving down the road of how this could be utilized. So definitely dive in and see how this could be used in your organization. Of course, remember to share this episode, whether it's the audio podcast or the video in YouTube. Please share that on socials. Just send it out. Say, hey, I watched this or I listened to this. Just share it for us, please. We would greatly appreciate that, and we'll give you a kudos for that. Make sure you tag us at 365 MCS. Anything else you need to add, Daryl?
Yes. Have a great week.
Wonderful. Bye for now.
See ya. And outro. It's there somewhere.